In this video, I'm going to introduce when there is an increasing demand, what will happen to our equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. So the case here is there is an increase in demand. So our example is using apples. So for some reasons, the demand for apple has been increased. So this reason, we will introduce them later. Right now, we just focus on the simplest case. Scientists just discovered that apples are extremely good for our health. So you may imagine for the consumers, they are willing and able to buy more apples than before. So some consumers, they may recommend apples to their relatives, friends, classmates, neighbors. So as a result, the demand for apples will increase. So we can observe this here. So this is the original demand for apples, and this is the new demand for apple. So when the price is 9, originally consumers, they are willing and able to buy 3 units of apples only. Now, after the news of that, apples are really good for our health. So now consumers, they are willing and able to buy 13 units of apple at the price of 9. So we observe that the demand for apples has been increased. So what will happen? So first, how do we present the new demand curve? So this is the original demand curve for apple. Demand curve of apple. So when the price is 9, originally quantity demanded is 3 units of apple. Now, because of this reason, and consumers, they are going to consume 13 units of apple when the price is 9. So it's same when the unit price is 8. Originally, they're going to consume 7 units of apple. Right now, they're going to consume 17 units of apple. So we are representing this new demand curve here. And we observe there is a shift of demand curve, a shift to the right. So we can represent this in this diagram. So the first part, this is the original demand curve. We denote it as D0, original demand curve. And from the case, we know that the demand for apple has been increased. So we are drawing a new demand curve here, D1. It represents the new demand curve. And also we use an arrow to represent the shift of demand curve to the right. So how do we find the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity? So first we have to analyze. Here is the original demand curve and the supply curve. And we know that the intersection point is the equilibrium, the market equilibrium. So we use this equilibrium point to find P0. P0 is the original equilibrium price. And from this equilibrium point, we know that we can find the original equilibrium quantity, and this is represented by Q0. It means the original equilibrium quantity. Provided we have a new demand curve. So we use our D1, our new demand curve, and also the supply curve. and then we find the intersection point again. We know that this is the market equilibrium. So we use this point and then we find the new equilibrium price P1 and the Q1 new equilibrium quantity. So after we have marked this changes, don't forget to add some arrows. So the first arrow is here. The increase in demand, the second is here from P0 to P1. The third one is Q0 to Q1. So there is an increase in demand, increase in equilibrium price, increase in equilibrium quantity. So that's how we use a diagram to present the case when there is an increase in demand. So after we have completed the diagram, we have to put this expression into words, okay? So first we have to explain there is a case. So we have to explain what happened. When more people are committed to consume apples, the demand for apples will increase from D0 to D1. So this part is presenting this part in the diagram. And as a result, the equilibrium price will increase from P0 to P1. So this sentence is presenting the diagram here. And then lastly, equilibrium quantity will increase from Q0 to Q1. And this sentence is presenting this part of the diagram. So let's recap. We know that there's a reason, and the demand for apples has been increased. So what will happen? The demand increase, the demand curve will shift to the right. The equilibrium price will increase from P0 to P1. The equilibrium quantity will increase from Q0 to Q1. Remember, demand for apple increase is due to some reasons, and this reason, they affect the customer, okay, the consumers. So this is important.